I was not expecting that. But then again, I'd expected not to expect something, so it doesn't really count. The Denver Broncos have hired former Saints head coach Sean Payton, baby. Blair holding. Ah! What the hell is pimento cheese? Tom Brady has announced his retirement from the NFL. For real this time. Come on, kick the field goal, take the points. Win the game.
No, you have to say that.
See you later. Welcome to Ruffing The Passer, show where I talk football, miscellaneous stuff, and mostly football. I am your host, Sam Ruffing, and we have huge, tremendous, ginormous news coming from yesterday. The PGA Tour has merged with LIV Golf. No, I am not joking. I was as surprised to find this out as everybody. Because especially after a year of just absolute, an insult war really, of PGA Tour players hurling stones and sticks and insults over at LIV Golf. LIV Golf taking some shots of their own. LIV Golf winning the majors, winning the PGA Championship, finishing high at the Masters with all the tension between them. The European Tour cutting all LIV Golf players off from the Ryder Cup, forcing them to resign with huge fines. The PGA Tour banning LIV Golf players. It has been quite a year of fighting and whatever, and that is why it's so surprising to see them merge into one entity. Well, it's not one entity, but to come together and pretty much just be owned by the same group. Yeah, that's right. This announcement was made yesterday morning on CNBC of all things. Not ESPN, not CBS Sports, not Fox Sports, not Golf Channel. CNBC. When head of the Saudi Public Investment Fund, yes sir, and PGA Tour Commissioner Jay Monahan appeared for an interview in which they discussed how they are planning to merge PGA Tour and LIV Golf. Or basically, PGA Tour has accepted funding from the Saudi Public Investment Fund, worth probably tens of billions of dollars would be my guess, to pump into the PGA Tour to have elevated events, bigger star power, and also merge in the DP World Tour with LIV Golf, and I'm sure because LIV Golf's heavily associated with the Asian Tour, that brings it in. So it's basically a global golf tour now, funded by the Saudis, and yeah, that was quite a wake-up call, to be sure. And just, first of all, I'm surprised it went down. Very surprised that happened. Second of all, it's very interesting and very exciting because, well, now we got the PGA Tour players who are going to get paid more thanks to the Saudi investment. You have the DP World Tour trying to be is going to be more relevant now because maybe they play some events in Europe. More players will play over there, and the Ryder Cup and President's Cup have been saved now because the PGA Tour is going to allow all LIV Golf defectors back onto the tour, at least file for reinstation with the PGA Tour cards next season. And all litigation between, legal litigation between the LIV Golf and PGA Tour is going to be dropped when the merger officially happens, because this was just an announcement. So good news there. We'll see DJ return to the PGA Tour for some events. You'll see Phil back. You'll see Brooks back. You'll see Bryson bombing it over the lake at number 6 on Bay Hill, which makes me very excited. You'll see players, get more world ranking points because they can actually compete in events with that. LIV Golf is probably going to get some ranking points from this. I would be surprised if they didn't because they're now going to be associated with the PGA Tour in a way. So all in all, very positive in terms of the golfing world. Now, obviously, there's some backlash from players and fans who are like, you signed up with the Saudis? Are you kidding me? And this looks very hypocritical from the PGA Tour side because they called out Saudi Arabian blood money and how horrible these defectors are, and how dare they take the money to play a game they love. And we're so honorable here at the PGA Tour only for them to take the money. It looks absolutely terrible on their part. But dang. I mean, with the LIV Golf PGA Tour and DP World Tour, I'm interested to see how it's run. I would imagine it's going to be run very similarly to how it is now. So PGA Tour will still have its schedule, still have its elevated events, same thing, it's just new money coming in. The DP World Tour, I'm sure, will run the same, pretty much a feeder tour to the, PGA Tour. And LIV Golf, I'm sure, will still have its 14 events a season. It will have its team championship at the end. I don't think much is going to change. What I do think will change is there are going to be some crossover events not seen since Avengers Endgame. With, probably similar to how the World Golf Championships used to go, where you have the top players from every tour competing against each other. So you're going to have LIV Golf players like Brooks and DJ and Cam Smith and Joaquin Neiman and Bryson come over for an event, and along with the top players in the European Tour like Robert McIntyre and I don't know anyone else on the European Tour who actually plays there, or not the PGA. If you're good enough on the European Tour, I just skip over directly to the PGA if I were you. And obviously the PGA Tour stars Rahm, Rory, Hovland, Scheffler, Spieth, Thomas. The list goes on. We'll all compete in that, big tournaments. You'll probably have a match play. You'll probably have maybe a team competition. You could have LIV Golf versus, PGA Tour. That would be awesome. I'm sure it's going to be very similar to that. They were talking in the interview with CNBC how they like to have some team events, and teams and all that. They're very interested in that. And LIV already has the teams, and if they're not longer hostile to the PGA Tour, you can do something with those. You can have some PGA Tour players go to LIV if they want them. Who knows? I'm not sure if that's what will happen, but very interesting to see what will come of this. I'm very interested. And man, I just find it absolutely hilarious what the reactions are going to be like for when LIV players are coming back to the PGA Tour to play while still on LIV. I mean, they must be the happiest people in the world right now. Just imagine Phil Mickelson right now. He is going to show up on the PGA Tour next season for a few events, obviously, after he gets his card reinstated, because they're going to do that. That would be idiotic not to. And he's going to walk in. He's like, hey, remember how you guys disrespected me and tried to slander me and ruin my career for the last 2 seasons? Remember how Alan Shipnuck tried to make me lose all my sponsorships? Well, guess what? I'm back, baby. Oh my gosh, that's going to be epic. Brooks Koepka coming back after winning the PGA and leaving for LIV Golf. That's going to be huge. And man, I can just only imagine how mad Rory McIlroy is right now. I mean, obviously, he had an interview during the RBC Canadian Open today. And he's like, I feel like I was a sacrificial lamb here. Like, I stuck my neck out for the tour for an entire year, calling out LIV Golf. I still hate LIV Golf. And then they just turn around and merge with them. Yet, for some reason, he didn't call out PGA Tour Commissioner Jay Monahan, which I found surprising. Like, that man has just told you to not take the money. He's cost you $300 million. He's cost you, a lot of fresh hairs. They're now gray because you had to spend so much time worrying about Patrick Reed and the marketing of the PGA Tour and sticking up for it. And now you show up here and they just merge anyways. I would be absolutely livid at Jay Monahan if I were him. And I can just only imagine how mad Tiger Woods is right now. I mean, Tiger, we all know he despises Phil Mickelson. I don't think that's really a secret. Maybe they respect each other, and they were kind of friendly a few years ago, but after the LIV thing, I don't think he likes Phil at all. And to see, and I imagine for him, to see Phil Mickelson be the one who stuck his neck out and said, hey, the PGA Tour is full of greedy people. They have insatiable greed. They have plenty of stockpiled money that they could pay us. For him to leave to LIV Golf so that changes could be made on the PGA Tour, so that he could try and find a tour that was right for him, get called out by everyone, and then for him to probably be one of the biggest people in the negotiations between the PGA Tour and the Saudi Public Investment Fund, to merge all these tours into what is basically one big golf tour, cementing his legacy as one of the great one of the great people in the history of golf, must make Tiger absolutely miffed. Just miffed. Because I've been watching this YouTube channel called The Thinking Man Show. And they like to talk about LIV Golf and PGA Tour and all the deeper topics at hand, and especially Tiger Woods' Tomorrow Golf Sports, which is him and Rory McIlroy, and how they think that he was using that as a plan to eventually become commissioner of the PGA Tour. It's really interesting. I'll link the channel in the description. And so if that was his plan, to use his golf league that he's starting, his simulator golf league, to somehow work up the ranks and become head of the PGA Tour so he can become as influential as Jack Nicklaus and Arnold Palmer when they founded the PGA Tour back in 1968. Only to see Phil Mickelson do it, I'm sure he's going to be absolutely livid. Just livid. And man, Phil, he is probably the happiest man in the world right now. He's like, you made fun of me for 2 years, and now I'm on top of the world, baby. Greg Norman's like, yep. That's right. My tour was so successful, the PGA Tour had to sue for peace with the Saudis. I'm finally getting the world tour I always wanted. More player pay, all that. Just, yeah. Another thing I noticed is, with the more Jay Monahan being an absolute hypocrite, is if you are a young player on the PGA Tour who was told not to go to LIV Golf because, oh, trust me, they won't last. You'll ruin your reputation. PGA Tour is going to win out. You have to be absolutely even more livid that they are now merging with LIV Golf. It's cool as two birds fighting. Anyways, I mean, guys like Colin Morikawa, guys like Will Zalatoris, who is sitting out for the year because he has a back injury, he had to have back surgery, who could have been paid by LIV Golf like $150 million. Imagine how angry he is right now. He's like, I could have gone to LIV Golf, got paid my money, sat out this year, and then actually come back to the PGA Tour in 2024. But no, Hideki Matsuyama must be in shambles because he is one of the most popular players in the world. He is huge for the Asian market. LIV Golf would have offered him like $300 million. If he had taken that, LIV Golf would have taken off, obviously. And he could have been paid. And apparently still could have come back to the PGA Tour. But no, he was told, oh, don't do that. You'll ruin your brand. You ruin your reputation. When the PGA Tour does it anyways. He's got to be angry right now. Just absolutely irate. Cameron Young almost signed with the PGA Tour, with LIV Golf last year for $100 million, but he decided to change his mind. Maybe it's because they didn't have ranking points yet. But if he'd known that the PGA Tour would just allow him back in a year later, he would have signed. He's got to be just unbelievably livid. Same with Victor Hovland and Tony Finau and others. Tiger Woods supposedly turned down $750 million, although Greg Norman's like, we never offered him that much. I'm sure it'd be more like $500 million. And I know Tiger's a billionaire, so I'm not sure how much it would have mattered to him, but even still, just wow. And for all those people who said Greg Norman ruined Cameron Smith's career, you look so silly right now. Cameron Smith was able to win an Open, win the Australian Open, go to LIV, get his $150 million, and be able to come back to the PGA Tour, so he can be a star there as well. Congratulations to all those guys who got your money. Let this be a lesson to those corporations. Generally, just aren't acting in your best interest. They're acting in their own best interest. PGA Tour is an organization. It's a non-profit, right? They're not acting in players' interest. They were acting in their own interest when they said you shouldn't go to LIV Golf. They just wanted you for your star power. They wanted you to bring in ratings. They didn't want you leaving because you would have had more power at LIV. You would have been paid, and the tour would have died. That's why they wanted you back. They didn't want you so that you could be on some moral high ground, because our PGA Tour's already done deals with Saudi Arabia. I mean, they were sponsored by like 23 Saudi Arabian companies already. They do business with China. It was not about the blood money. It was not about reputation. It was about just protecting their own monopoly, protecting their own interests. That's why. So yeah, if I'm a player and I decide not to go to LIV because of the backlash I received, I am so angry right now. Just angry. You know, I wonder with the PGA Tour, European Tour, and LIV Golf forming, how does this affect the international events? Because I'm sure hostilities are going to die down a little bit. Guys are going to be allowed back on the Ryder Cup teams. Is the DP World Tour going to allow Sergio and Lee Westwood and Ian Poulter and Heinrich Stenson and Martin Keimer, Paul Casey, all those players to apply for DP World membership again? Because they better. And they better, because you tried to disown your top Ryder Cup stars of the past 20 years. You tried to make fools out of them. You tried to say F off right before this deal happened. You better owe them, they're owed a massive apology and a spot back on, because without them, the European Ryder Cup team's doomed, pretty much. No two ways around it. I mean, Ian Poulter's going to get you a point in match play. Sergio's got chemistry with Rahm and is, the all-time leading scorer on the Ryder Cup all-time, so Europe and America. So you're going to want him back. You're going to want that young talent on LIV with, like, Eugenio Chacarra, the Spaniard, who won LIV Golf Bangkok last year. Yeah, if I'm the European Tour, or if I'm the players who were forced to resign from the European Tour, I want an apology and I want my membership back, dang it. If I'm Heinrich Stenson, I want my Ryder Cup captaincy back. Kick Luke Donald out. Put me back in there. So I would imagine they're going to be allowed to be reinstated at least next year, which means they'll miss this Ryder Cup, but like for the 2025 Ryder Cup, I'm sure they'll be back. Also, if I'm Cameron Smith, Louis Oosthuizen, Joaquin Niemann, Mark Leishman, whoever else was forced to miss the President's Cup because they signed with the LIV Golf Tour, I want an apology. Like, you bombed your own chances of the world team winning the President's Cup because you didn't allow their top players to play. I'd allow them back on. And man, good for the young players on LIV who decided to join. I mean, guys like James Piot, Matthew Wolff, Andy Ogletree, Eugenio Chacarra, David Puig. You can now go play PGA Tour. You can get the money from LIV. Fantastic deal. Just utterly fantastic. Now, one of the talking points I've noticed recently is like, Is LIV Golf needed now? Because LIV Golf, at least there's a sense right now, that LIV Golf was a ploy by the Saudi Arabians to build up a golf league, take talent, make the PGA Tour desperate, so that they could then invest in golf and own golf, basically. And now that they pretty much own golf, is LIV necessary? Is LIV going to stick around? I think so. At least I really hope so. Because in the interview with CNBC, Yasir and obviously Monahan were talking about how they really wanted team elements, they were interested in that. And LIV Golf already has teams. They have 12 teams that are already established. They have merch, they have members. You got the Range Goats who are extremely popular. You got the Crushers, you got Smash. You have 4 Aces who are dominant. I'm sure that you could use LIV Golf as the team league in this global league, I guess. You could have maybe some PGA Tour teams as well, but like, I don't see any reason for LIV to go away. Granted, I don't see much reason for it to stay, but I just really don't want LIV Golf to go. I'm just going to be perfectly honest. I really like LIV Golf's product. It's 54 holes, which I don't really care too much whether or not it's 54 or 72. I do like 54 because it makes every day feel important, because like, if you're watching a tournament, it's like day 3, it's like, it's tense, but like, this one doesn't matter until day 4. Day is important, but still. I love LIV Golf's model with the shotgun start, so that rounds only take, 4 hours. I love the limited fields that with everyone you're going to know who's going to be there. You're always going to get Bryson, you're always going to get Brooks, you're always going to get Phil, you're always going to get DJ, Cameron Smith. I love that about LIV. I like the team element is interesting. It adds some flavor and some, like, oh, well, I've shot 6 over the past 2 days, but it's day 3. My team's almost in it. If I just put in a 5-under round, we could win a team. I can win myself $750,000 with a team win. I really like the team element. I also just think it's fun having the music blaring, the fans getting rowdy, the coverage is good. I mean, it's like, hey, shot here, shot here, shot here, shot here, while the PGA Tour is like, and here's Patrick Cantley lining up. This will be another 2 minutes. And Greg Norman has said, apparently on a team call this morning, that I don't know how the heck these reporters get this news. Like, is there a spy there on every single place? Is someone leaking this? How does this work? Are they tapping the phone lines? Anyways, he said that, yes, LIV Golf still plans to be around. They have plans for the 24 season, which I think is going to go into effect anyways. They have plans for the 2025 season, and players are still signed to it, so I feel like they're contractually obligated, unless the league folds, to play all 14 events this year, all 14 events next year, until their contracts run out. And so I'd hope that LIV Golf sticks around, because I really like it. It's obvious. It's a nice alternative to the PGA and DP World Tour. It's a fun avenue. I really don't want it to go. I really want it to stay. And I just don't want it to go. Please keep LIV Golf. Hashtag please keep LIV Golf. It's cool. I mean, I guess it wouldn't be the worst thing in the world if LIV Golf left, because the PGA Tour would likely take some of its ideas, like the NFL takes XFL and USFL and AAF ideas, even though those leagues died. It could be interesting, but I just like LIV. My Crushers, man. I love my Crushers. I still can't believe Jay Monahan, though. That is just, the fact that this man has called out Phil Mickelson, has called out all LIV players who left, suspended them wrongfully because they're independent contractors. You can't just suspend them for leaving for a different league. That is violating some sort of monopoly rules. I don't know. The antitrust laws. The fact that this man called out Saudi blood money, the fact that this man just had the audacity to not accept Saudi funds in the beginning, not accept the Andy Carter, I don't know, the guy who was trying to do the professional golf league, the PGL, Premier Golf League, which is basically LIV before LIV. The fact that this man turns everything down, thinking it's stupid, but then, out of the blue, decides, with the 7-week meetings between him and Yasir, the fact that this man has the gall to call all these people out, to call out the blood money, to do all that, and then change his tune and sign with merge the two entities is unbelievable. And people are livid at it. I mean, in the PGA Tour's player meeting at the RBC Canadian Open, Grayson Murray called out Jay Monahan. He was like, resign from this tour. And he's like, F you, Rory. Because I guess Grayson Murray was already mad. I remember he got into a fight last year with Kevin Na. He's like, leave this dang tour. No one really likes Grayson Murray, but even still. How the heck can you have such arrogance as a commissioner? I mean, that is just unbelievable. I'm amazed he still has a job. Amazed he went through these plans without, talking to the players who are what's supposed to be making up the PGA Tour. I'm also amazed the PGA Tour is still counted as a non-profit organization. Like, heck, it's a non-profit. They found $175 million to, add to the events this year. Even though I thought a non-profit couldn't make profit, but I guess they had some extra profit to stuff into the events. I don't understand how this works, and how they're going to be paid billions and 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 billions of dollars from the Saudi Arabia to merge with an entity that he has despised. That is hypocrisy at its finest in the sporting business world. Just wow. You have no spine, Jay Monahan, no spine. And I understand why a bunch of LIV players left now. I guess Phil Mickelson was right about the PGA Tour's insatiable greed after all. Now, how do I feel about this whole thing? Good question. I'm not sure. I'm obviously not big into foreign governments pretty much controlling, an entire sports league. Like, I'd prefer if they were just privately run businesses. But, on the other hand, I do like that the PGA Tour and I do like that the PGA Tour is allowing LIV Golf players back on. That should have been a thing. I like that the European Tour isn't disrespecting the guys who made the European Tour special. Sounds like a Grand Tour special. The European Tour special! Hey, Amazon, don't fire Jeremy Clarkson, please. That's another thing. But honestly, I'm kind of sad that they merged, because I didn't want to see them merge. To be perfectly honest, I like the fact that LIV was a rebel tour. I like that they challenged the PGA Tour. We're going with different styles. We're stealing some of the players who have been felt disrespected and by the PGA Tour, like Bryson, who was always called out by everyone. Phil Mickelson, who wasn't exactly the most popular, but was popular, but you know what I mean. Dustin Johnson, who has dealt with rules officiating, BS, and secret suspensions. Brooks Koepka, I'm not even sure why Brooks left, honestly. Cameron Smith, who knew how much of a grind it was to make it to the PGA Tour, and he'd have to stay there pretty much and miss out on living in Australia, his home country, for 2 years of his life. Probably more. Foreigners who, like Joaquin Neiman, Mito Pereira, Louis Oosthuizen, who honestly didn't want to, who probably don't like to leave their home country and live in America, but had pretty much had no choice because the PGA Tour is based there. Young guys like Matt Wolff, who weren't really into the being solo, who liked the team element. The college stars who just wanted to be paid big time while still, because you know what, trying to make it on the PGA is not exactly an easy process. I like the rebellious nature of it. The scoundrels, the villains of the league, forming their own, seeing who really misses them, and having the PGA Tour be like, dang, we actually missed those guys. We should have treated them better. I liked that. I liked that there was animosity. It drove ratings sky high. I did indeed want to see LIV golfers back on the PGA Tour. But I thought that was just going to come in time because, it's kind of stupid that they were banned in the first place. I didn't want to see it because they're owned by the same company now, basically. I didn't want to... Because where's the rivalry? It's like, hey, we're pretty much the same now. It's like the AFL in NFL. I mean, I'm sure that was a huge rivalry back in the day, and now it's turned into the AFC and NFC. And hopefully we do have an AFC, NFC type thing here, with the LIV Golf being the AFC. The teams that were rebellious, who were the AFL. And they come together every season, at the end of every season for like a Ryder Cup style match play event. Modernized with, some scrambles in there. That could be cool. But I wanted that rivalry to be separate, no merging. I still wanted LIV Golf to face off against the PGA Tour, but it's a friendly rivalry, not a merger. Well, not friendly. You got the beef, you probably end up with fights and shouting matches. That would have been awesome. But no, they're just merged, and it just kind of feels fake. A little bit fake. And that just makes me sad. And the PGA Tour, at the end of all this, could have avoided it. All they had to do was make some changes. Realize that their run is not permanent. Their business model is not going to always lead to success. Because guess what? You don't always have a Tiger Woods. He's a once-in-a-generational talent. Trying to find a Tiger Woods is impossible. And for goodness sake, the PGA Tour went from Jack Nicklaus, at pretty much ending in 1986, and had to wait 20 years for Tiger Woods to arrive on the scene. 20 years! Tiger Woods retires now. He's actually like 47 or 46, isn't he? They're going to have to wait another 20 years for another Tiger Woods, Jack Nicklaus, GOAT-type player. Who just brings in all the ratings. That model's not sustainable. They could have taken the deals from the Premier Golf League to have elevated tour events with no cut, with teams, shotgun starts to make play more interesting, faster, all one broadcast. You don't feel like it's a chore to watch it. It's more like a baseball game at length. More like a football game. It could have been interesting. Could have experimented. Could have a mini golf tournament for all I care. More match play. More teams. But they got stale. And they allowed a rebel league to do all that. And by the time the PGA Tour realized that they had to change, it was too late. There was no way they're going to keep up with that rebel league that had more money. And they joined them. They just joined them. It didn't have to be this way. It didn't have to be this controversy. All the PGA Tour had to do was change. You didn't have to have guys make $0 for missing a cut, actually lose $5,000 pretty much. You could have been done with that outdated business practice. You could have had fewer events where all the stars play and it's televised and they're like big things. They're more special. You could have done that, but you didn't. You sat around, you got complacent, and yeah, this is... And if other leagues end up doing this, same thing could happen to them. The AFL and the NFL learned not to be complacent back in the 1960s, and they merged the AFL. The NBA learned not to be complacent, they merged the ABA. Hockey hasn't had a challenger yet, but they could. Soccer's learning that there's a new challenger. with the Saudi Arabian League paying its stars even more money. And now golf is learning the same thing. Formula One bought out by the Saudis. Not saying it's necessarily awful. I'm just saying I didn't really want to see a merger here. I wanted rival leagues. Or I wanted the PGA Tour to just figure it itself out. Figure out how to do it. It all could have been avoided. Just keep that in mind from now on. This has been Roughing the Passer, the show that talks football, miscellaneous stuff, and mostly football, except there was no football. And I apologize, but there was massive golf news. If you like this video, share it with your friends and family, hit that like button. I'd really appreciate it. It really helps me out. If you like my content, hit the subscribe button so you won't miss a future upload. Hit that bell to know when those uploads are uploaded. And I thank you very much, very, very much for watching. It has been a little while. I had a cold. That wasn't fun. Please leave a comment with your thoughts on the PGA Tour and LIV Golf merger. Do you think it's good for the game? Do you think it's bad for the game? I really want to know. This has been Ruffing the Passer. See you later.